Joe Newman, thank you for being on Damn Lies and Statistics. Before we start with the lies, though, I just want to tell you why I love this book. There are very few feelings I like more in this world than, say, like sex and psychedelics. But one of them is when I'm right. And so I had this preconceived notion about children. And then I read your book, and an expert seemed to validate my opinions, which, oh my God, I can't thank you enough. The other thing that I wanted to say is I have two children. They're 7 and 3. They are not lions themselves, but because they're 7 and 3 and there's sports in school, I have to deal with these feral animals. So you sort of, I think a lot of people need to read this book. I think it would help. It would help me. It would help them. It would help the kids. So thanks for writing it. It's fantastic.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, it's kind of in the water right now.
Yes. All right. So let's go with damn lie number one. So the damn lie number one is that your kid is an asshole because of DNA. So let's medicate them. Brian, can you pull up the first quote from the book? Okay. I find this fascinating, and I'm sure these numbers are worse now, but this is according to your book. In the 10 years between 2000 and 2010, there was a 40-fold increase in the number of children diagnosed with bipolar disorder, a 400% increase in prescriptions written annually for stimulant drugs to increase attention, a 333% increase in the use of antidepressant medications for children, and 1 in every 4 to 5 youth in the United States meets criteria for mental disorders such as anxiety, behavior disorder, mood disorder, substance abuse disorder in their lifetime. Joe, what have we done to these kids?
Yeah, we turned everything upside down. There was a huge shift, right? So, and this is why you're getting the medication problem, is that, we went from an idea that we could, that kids needed to have certain experiences and certain boundaries, and really they needed to consider other people. That was the first thing. And then we swung against that and we went, I'm not going to spank and I'm not going to yell. So that means no consequences at all. Let's just talk to them really nicely until they understand. And then this leads to this problem where when that doesn't work, it must be the DNA and we got to medicate them. And the problem I have with medication isn't that medication has its place. It can do things, but it's the absolute smallest window in which to look at a problem. So you're going to get the smallest number of solutions. What's the big window? The big window is you've got 3 environments your kid lives in, not just their own head, right? You got the DNA that they start with, but even DNA specialists will tell you, it's an epistemological standpoint, tells you that how that expresses itself is radically changed from one environment to another. So the second environment is the family's interaction. Okay. Did the mom have a dad who brought out the belt every time she raised her voice, and she associates all conflict with negation and beating? She's going to be conflict adverse. She's not going to set that boundary. Okay. There's 100 different ways in which parents bring their own baggage to that place, and they have to be aware of that so that they can set the boundaries, do the thing that was good about what their parents did with the new information they got, instead of just throw it all out and react to it. So that's the second environment: child's mind, family dynamic, and I would say the community by extension. Mm-hmm. But the third environment we live in is our cultural moment. Everybody thinks like right now we're the pinnacle of great ideas. We're not. Ben Franklin thought that and died of complications from bloodletting. It's like, we're Ben Franklin getting bloodletting. It's like, let's step back and go, there's a lot of lies, a lot of bullshit and mythology right now that is spoken as if it's the ultimate truth. And, so when I work with people, I'm like, let's change those cultural assumptions. Let's script some new things so you get a new pattern of doing it and get out of the baggage you brought in. And plus, I sort of specialize in the kids who are lions, and how they're thinking, which doesn't fit the current paradigm, which is essentially that every kid wants your approval more than anything. And some kids just don't give a damn about your approval. They like power a lot better.
And I think that's one of the hard things to do, is that like you want to parent in one specific way, but it's kind of like football. We have to read the defense and what the kid, my kid doesn't need a strict environment. He fears not being right, not following the rules. So you have to parent, you can't parent the same way across the board. And I think part of the problem with modern parenting is we want to be their friends and we want to see ourselves in a specific way and not be the bad guy ever. And it hasn't worked out.
Right. Yeah. And what you said is fear, right? There's a fear motivator in that. And I would argue, and actually, I'm not looking at the timer anymore. So you stop me when you're ready to hit
The
the
time's
button.
up, but you can finish this thought.
Yeah. So I had some clients last week, and they said, our grandfather came over, and our 5-year-old basically went over, begged him to play. He says, "No, it's dinner time." The 5-year-old punches grandpa in the stomach. Before they can even say anything, grandpa's picked this kid up by the belt, dropped his pants, and gave him a big smack on the bottom. And they're appalled. And they're like, "Has we ruined him for life? What's happened?" I'm like, and I said, "Look, for 10,000 years, fear was a core of child development. That's how they recognized other people. What I'm here for is to teach you how to do that in a more humane way. But we're still trying to shoot for, there's a part of truth in what he did."
Yeah. Here's the other thing too. Like, obviously there's problems with the big pharma. I don't want to believe in the conspiracy theory, but pills are profitable. We have a for-profit healthcare system. We used to grow up say no to drugs, but now every kid's on a drug, largely because of government intervention saying that these things are legal. And the other thing that you said that I want to quickly touch on, I thought a lot about it. You have a degree in organizational management. Part of this idea is that if you were to have a team in an organization or a company, you can't just medicate the guys that your employees who aren't doing well. You can only throw medication at children, So like if the Patriots defense sucks, we can't go, "Listen, guys, you need Ritalin to pay attention, when you're playing football." You could never do that to adults, but you can do it to any kid you damn well please. That's a little weird.
It is a little weird. There's a lot of things that are weird. It's weird that 20 years ago, if your kid was misbehaving, you took away a meal and sent them to bed without dinner. And today, your kid threatens not to eat one.
I know what happened. I know. I have to bribe my kids to eat chicken fingers and French fries. It's unbelievable.